Mm. Mm. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to shove some food in my mouth here real fast. All right. Sorry about that. So, how's everyone today? It's Wednesday. Happy over the hump day to you. Bob's Back Biker News Canada. I had to work today through the day, so I thought we'll have a quick look around what's going on the old interweb here before we get going. But if there's nothing news, we're going to do a little throwback story from 2006 involving some well-known motorcycle clubs and motorcycle club guys, etc., etc. And we'll go over that story again. It's an old one, but hey, what are you going to do, right? It's the winter. I got less stuff to work with. Unfortunately, we're not doing as much biker activities here and around Canada. Ooh, sorry, Canada. Seeing as southwestern Ontario had its first big bundle of snow, I think it's going to all be melted by the weekend. Oh, no, I ate so fast I gave myself the hiccups. It ain't one thing, it's another these days. Okay, before we get going, quick reminder. Hello, Grant. Good to see you, bro. Quick reminder, you need to buy my book. If you haven't yet, you got to read it. Cool story about my time in one of the world's biggest 1% MCs. Boom, one night at the Playpen. The best thing to do is contact me on any social media. We'll get the book and the patch together for $40. Patch alone is 15, book alone is 30. Put them together for 40. And I'll, of course, sign the book to you or whoever you want it signed to. Makes a good Christmas present. Christmas is coming. So, anyways, hey, Scrap Iron, good to see you, brother. And Chris as well. Good to see you, bro. And your book should be getting to you. If not this week, should be there one day next week. I don't know what they're doing with the new the mail. They're still doing rotating strikes. Anyways, and while we're talking about deals and buying things and all that sort of stuff, if you or anyone you know is thinking about some work on their motorcycle in the paint department, our buddy Dave that I interviewed from his shop the other day, he's running a sale. Oh wait, you don't want to see his furnace. There, you want to see the cool stuff he does. If you go on in and mention Biker News Canada or call them or whatever and start getting some quotes and some ideas together, shop rates will be 10% off. So it's a thing. There's some of his work. Great guy, great artist, great work. You know what I mean? Um, and the shop is a little empty right now. So anyone who's got something they want to bring to life on their motorcycle, hit them up. Final Details Customs. I'll put a link in the Facebook description after we're done streaming. He does do exceptional work. I love his work. And give a brother a hand if you're able to, and it'll give you a hand because it'll get your bike headed towards what you were thinking of. You know, they look pretty cool when they're all done up custom. Yeah, I had one. I stuck it in a couple shows and stuff, man. It was a cool looking bike. I really love that machine, man. So it's it's something if you can afford it and you got a cool vision, he'll bring it to life for you. So that's Final Details Customs. Like I say, I'll go back when everything's uploaded and all that, and I'll chat and I'll put the contact info um, in the description. Oh, right on, Chris. Thank you, man. Yeah, it'll be getting on up there. So again, I didn't really look through. I didn't look through the old Google machine today to see if there's anything happening going on in the old biker world. Let me have a quick look. Last few times I've looked, there's been a couple of stories from America, but whatever. So, they got something about a guy from the Mongols. Oh, he's getting charged now from that thing during Bike Week down there in Florida. So they've ground up another guy, and he's got his charges. And we got the Sons of Anarchy creator sets up a new biker gang series with Jason Momoa. You know who I mean? Which is strange because he's a member of an MC. It's not a 1% MC, but he's in an MC. He's in the Red Rum MC. So I've seen many photos of him. Okay, it's got me on some ad thing. There he is. Yeah, that guy. And there's the creator. That's that Kurt Sutter, however you say his name. And what the hell was his name? He was the guy in jail on the SOA series. I'll never lie and say I never watched that series. I watched every episode of that series. I like that series. If you look at it like from an old what kind of story? I saw someone put up there once that it's Shakespeare. It's Macbeth retold as bikers. Good way to put it. But yeah, it was original series, but the storyline, you know what I mean? It goes back from hundreds of years ago, those kind of storylines. But I enjoyed it for what it was. When it was, you just got to understand it's entertainment. It ain't what really happened. But when you look through some of the stories that really happened, let's go with what I just pulled up. I just typed in, um, the Pro Cafe shooting. So back in 2006, this is after my time being in a motorcycle club. Um, an older fellow, Frank Lente is his name. He's been around the motorcycle scene in Toronto forever and ever. Yeah, that was the guy. Exactly. That was the character, bro. You got it. I just can't think of his name. And his old lady was the broad who made the porn movies and all that, right? So, anyways, back to Frank, because this one could be the shit Frank's done. I guarantee he'll write a book about it at some point in his life, or somebody will. Well, I wrote my book. I wrote it myself, and then had Otto, that's his name, and then had a ghostwriter come and put it together in a story form for me, and then I rewrote it again. And I wasted a ton of money on this fucking ghostwriter. It was just a big scam from the start to get me to send them money for advertising that they never did. They never advertised for my book once. So, anyways, that book cost me money to put it out. I'll have to sell thousands of copies to break even, man. But it is what it is. You live and learn. I wanted a book out, so I got it out. And you know what? I'm happy with how it turned out. So I won't cry about it. Hey, John, thanks for joining us tonight, bro. Yeah, so Frank Lente, he started the Loners. We could go back and let me do that. Let me just do a quick search about Frank Lente. So we'll get it's so funny when you see how they wrote about Frank and you see other people put stories on YouTube about him and stuff. I knew the guy. They mentioned the Satan's Choice. They mentioned the Loners. And then I think he made another club after the Loners. And they mentioned the HAs, which I don't know, but I don't believe he ever became a member of. No, of course he didn't. But they never mention for a short, brief period of time there, because I went to a funeral with him, he was an outlaw. He had a full outlaw patch at one point in his life also. But I think he was trying to use it kind of sort of stepping stone to get to the Angels, and the Angels were done taking outlaws by then. So, and I think I remember him telling me when we were at the funeral, we were at a funeral in Elliott Lake. We had a really, really good brother, probate brother, but he was a brother. I don't, probate, full patch, whatever. He was a brother. Heck was his name. Shit, I don't remember now. Big red hair fell out of Sault Ste. Marie chapter. Hey, sold out. Good to see you all the way from North Carolina. Much respect right back at you, bro. So, anyways, our probate from Sault Ste. Marie, big red hair guy. Fuck, I wish I could remember his name. Carl, maybe Cal. Cal sounds better. It was a weekend, and he did an all-nighter at the clubhouse, taking care of friends and guests and bullshit and partying and doing whatever bikers do on a Friday night that turns into Saturday somehow. And then the guy from his chapter, and he's dead, and the way he ended up his thing, I don't care about him. We called him Cyclops because he had a glass eye. So he pushed on this kid, not kid, man, this brother, and made him load his bike in the back of his truck, and it was still winter time, and get that motorcycle down to Toronto because he was doing some deal on getting rid of a Sportster and getting a bigger bike. And the poor guy made it to Parry Sound, and nobody knows if he fell asleep or if he wiped out on the black ice. But he got in a wreck, cost him his life. And so we were at his funeral. And so, like I say, Frank at the time was an outlaw, telling me his son was a full patch member of the Hells Angels. I was like, what the? And then, now Frank wasn't in my chapter. He was in the Toronto chapter. So, and then all of a sudden we got the word that he wasn't in the club no more. But he was a co-founder of the Loners. They call him a gangster. And yes, he was friendly with the Musitano crime family from Hamilton, but they all got wiped out over the years. Those guys are gone. But Frank had this special little patch made, and it was some Italian insignia. So it showed his true loyalties. Wasn't all the way to the bike club. It was, I'm loyal to these guys, but boom, I'm also loyal to these guys. And sometimes shit like that don't work out. Hey, Doug, good to see you, bro. Good to see you. You made one, man. So anyway, he says, that's our man Frank. And he, like this little thing says, he would flip from gang to gang when he didn't get his way. And that's what he liked to do. And so they're saying that some people nicknamed him Velcro Biker. I never heard that referred to Frank as that, but I do know some guys it's been referred to. Yeah, so he made the Loners when Bernie was in jail up in Sault Ste. Marie for that big crazy Oba Lake drug bust, and we will do a story about that, Chris. And yeah, he was hanging out with the Camisos, this and that. So that's why Frank went over and started up the Loners, because I think he wanted to be boss of the choice when Bernie was in jail, and Bernie gave it to somebody else to hold the club. And then in 77, the Outlaws came and stole half their chapters anyway, so it didn't matter. That was going to happen one way or the other. It just, I believe, became easier with Bernie in jail. So, right, he joined the Rebels, and then he formed the Loners. He started up another club too, in between the Loners in the Outlaws, but it was very short lived. The other club, I can't remember what it was called. So that's Frank. That's one of our players in this story. Yeah, they've gone, Bob. I'm a Hamilton boy. It's one tough place at times, isn't it? Yeah, it can be, bro. It can be a tough joint, man. But I knew a guy that used to do collections for the Musitanos, and even he didn't speak about them very well. And see, now this story that I just clicked on says he was also, get out of here, in the Banditos when they came to Canada for a short period there. So Satan's Choice, Loners, the Rebels, Banditos, the other club I'm thinking of, like that their name will jump into my head as we go through this. So he was in a bunch of clubs, and like I say, I saw him with an outlaw patch on and called him brother for a short period there. So he always had this strip joint, and they called it the Pro Cafe, up in the north end of Toronto, and the part of Toronto they call Vaughan, up by Canada's Wonderland. So he was like in his 60s way back then, and he walked with a cane. He had maybe late 50s when this happened, because this story's about him going to court. And he walked with a cane because back in the day, someone had planted a bomb under the driver's seat of his car to eliminate him. And when he got in, and he didn't get all the way in the car, he only was kind of sitting with one leg out the door, and the bomb went off and blew off half of his ass. And rumor has it, the old story from down the story tree was a guy from the Outlaw Sault Ste. Marie chapter did it. And the story was because they had done a business deal together over some things, that aren't supposed to be sold. And the guy from Sault Ste. Marie didn't want to pay him. So he figured the best way to resolve the debt was get rid of the creditor. So he was quite a cat, the guy from the Sioux. And his name, he's gone now too. His name was Wild Bill, and he came by that name honestly. So Frank had this strip joint, Pro Cafe. So 2006, three dudes. We got a guy named John, who was 32 at the time, who was apparently the sergeant of arms for the HA West Toronto chapter, and another guy named Dana, and he was a full patch in the club, and a prospect named Carlo. So the three of them went in. They were celebrating, I think the first guy, John, which he's got his street name is pretty cool. They were celebrating his birthday, I believe. So now Frank always had himself at the front door as the security, right? So these three guys from the Angels come over. Now Frank at the time, I don't think was in any club at all, right, at that particular point in his life. But he's always been connected, especially with the Italian underworld. So they came in and they were getting drunk. Yeah, Mr. Buchanan was celebrating his birthday. And I guess something went on inside the bar, and these three guys went after Frank. They were going to beat him down in his own strip club when he was an old man, blah, blah, blah. So he whipped out his bang bang machine and bang banged it. And unfortunately, Mr. Buchanan paid for that with his life on the day of his birthday, or the day he was celebrating his birthday. So it was a shit deal for him. But from the word is inside the bars, he kind of started swinging first. So it was what it was. And, he was an old man and all that, but he was never a punk. So he made sure whatever happened was in between doors and in between security cameras. And like I say, so 4 men followed him into the club lobby. And at one point, Mr. Buchanan, while arguing with Mr. Lente, was holding beer bottle, and I think they went to, anyways, they went to swing at him, and he started shooting. Oh, yeah, so they did swing at him, says Mr. Buchanan, then punched Mr. Lente in the eye. So he came up going bang, 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 and they tried to get. And the one guy, fortunately, didn't make it. And that guy was an interesting guy. He was one of the only guys around at that time that came out of a street gang and into an MC. And the MC happened to be 81, so he went into the big MC out of it. They called him White Dread back then. So he knew all the street guys because he grew up in the hood as a white guy, and he ran with the street gang. He got jumped in, and he was a full thing. And then they had a working relationship with him, some of the club guys, so they brought him into the club. So that's where he came from. Yeah, he was. I heard he was a good guy. I really thought he was a good guy. Yep, that's right, Doug. We all become old men sooner or later. That's right. Yeah, you remember all this stuff too, eh, bro? Yeah. So at all that, and that it's apparently the guys from 81 were not armed, which is good. So there was 7 shots fired, and more than just Dredd got hit. But this is a trial about the the manslaughter. So Frank, so they called him Cisco back then. But anyway, so Lente flat out to manslaughter and got 6 for it. I remember when he got out, he got out, fairly quick too, considering it was a handgun used in the killing and all that. But it was what it was, and he got 6, and he went down below, and he did his 6 and came home. Oh yeah, so the second man had multiple gunshot wounds, and like you say, it was Dredd that got hit, and the prospect got hit. Oh, and one of the other guys, Dana, got hit. So they all got hit, but like you say, Dredd didn't make it. And coming out of all that, how everyone's got the revenge and avenge this, and he's not going to make it long. As far as I know, nothing's ever happened to Frank as a result of that. Oh, he was not stupid. No, even when, like I say, it was a very short time he was a member in our club. I only got to sit and talk to him a few times, but I learned some stuff off him just in a few conversations because he was more experienced and he'd been around longer. I always knew to go talk to the dudes that were driving the Hummers, not the Chevettes, and the dudes that spent most of their time on the street and not inside. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. That's not to put down anyone who's ever had to go inside, because sometimes you just gotta. It's the only thing where you can leave your house, like those guys did that afternoon to go to the pro. You can leave your house to go out and just have a fun night or whatever, a few drinks with your buddies, your brothers, whatever the case is, and you can either wind up dead or wind up in jail for 6 years is no short time. So Frank left his house that day to go to work and do what he always does and go home. And he never made it home till he got bail, right? So it's the biker life when you're in that sort of club that's aggressive and doing whatever. That's how quick your things can change. Your whole life can change in one instant. That thing that happened at the strip joint where I worked, and it changed my whole life. You know what I mean? 2 of our guys ended up, we're having funerals for them, and 2 guys that everybody knew from the city down the road got arrested for doing it, and everybody knew everybody and everything, and it was everything was upside down for ages after that. And to be honest with you, our chapter, um, I came in after that to get it back up, but it took an up and a down, and that's how things go, right? They lost two great guys, and I'm sure that the chapter of '81 where that happened, um, they took it hard too. That's the thing when you're in it. Usually the guys in your particular chapter, they're like family to you. You eat together, you celebrate holidays and Christmas and all that shit together. You support each other's kids and what they're doing and all that stuff. And that's how it gets inside of a chapter, right? So, they would have their bad thing from it. Frank obviously had a shit time because now he's up on charges. and unfortunately, the club has to go on. So they can take some time out and mourn for you and have a big funeral and a party and a whatnot. But the club has to keep going forward. Clubs have to keep moving forward. They can't just stop and because something happened to one dude. It doesn't work that way. He was around a long time, had some respect for high ranking guys and few areas of the life. 1%er and OC. I think that saved him somehow. Yeah, it did. It did. I think when he went inside, there were some people inside to have his six and stuff like that. And, and back then the 81 was fairly new to Ontario, so they didn't have a ton of members inside yet. Like I know when I came along for the club I was in, they've been around since '77, right? So basically, they had a good part of Joyceville penitentiary was theirs, right? So when I went up for socials, they would let them have a social. They put committees together and all that stuff in there, and it keeps everyone's brains moving and stuff, right? So you're not just being warehouse. And they had a card shop, and they would make all the little outlaw Christmas cards for everybody every year and all that. It was pretty cool, man. But we go up there in the summer and have a big steak barbecue with the brothers. We bring their kids and their wives and their mothers up and shit like that, and spend a day out in the yard and in the gymnasium and all that stuff. So back in those days, and I think how it is now, 81's got a tight grip on Collins Bay and stuff like that, but back then they didn't really have as many guys inside. I would think that Walter would have known Frank. It only makes sense. They came up kind of around the same time period. And, Walter didn't spend all of his life in Montreal. The story, the story you get from the YouTube channels and that is that he rode down to Montreal one day and said, I want to be a member. I somehow thought that's how it went. But, he got to be friends with somebody and did his thing. And he wanted to be in that club, and damned if he was going to be in that club. And my thinking on clubs is how I entered into the Outlaws was I wanted to make my chapter a little bit more successful and a little bit better, and as a result, the region a little bit better and stuff. So I took the job of producing and getting it out to the different chapters and collecting back in the money so we could do it again and then put the revenue, you split up with the chapter that sold it, put it in our legal fund. So there was always something. So I always had something to do. I loved it. So I always had a reason to go to Sault Ste. Marie chapter because, hey, man, they need some support stuff. I'm going for the weekend. Away I go, right? It was awesome. It was wicked that way. So that was the way I approached it. I wanted to get as involved as I could get and help. And if I could help improve the club any way possible, any way that I could. And if I saw something I thought was a good idea, I brought it up. And I made sure as soon as I was able to start going to officer meetings and get elected into a position in my chapter that gave me a seat at the officer table and all that stuff. I loved it. And I think that that's how every man should think about it. Whatever your expertise happens to be, whether it's attracting new members, whether it's keeping a party going, whatever the deal is. Every member should go into that club thinking, how could I make this a little bit better? Bring it up with your brothers out of church and all that first, but how could I make this better? What if maybe we tried this? Hey, how about we do a run to that? Or maybe we should do a fundraising event, whatever, right? There's always got to be, your new members should be coming in with new ideas. They shouldn't be coming in and saying, okay, what's going on? They should be coming in and saying, hey, why don't we? You know what I mean? That's what I think will make your club more successful. And that goes all the way down to any sort of club. It doesn't have to be a 1% club. I think any sort of club, that's how they should approach getting new members. And that's how the new members should approach being a member, right? Hello, Steve. All the way up. The Kawarthas, brother. Good to see you. Yeah, man, Doug, I did as much as I could for that club. I really did. I put my heart, my soul into that club. I loved it. It's not like it was thankless. I loved it. I got to go see lots of cool things and meet lots of really, really cool people and see a bit of the other parts of the world. Spent 8 months in England, and I lived with the English guys and made sure that they patched on over. It was fucking wicked. I loved every minute of it. Hey, Bruce, good to see you, bro. Thanks for joining us tonight. Like I say, not much going on in the old biker news world. So I just thought I'd do one of these, talk to the chat, do an old story, do the old Frank Lente story, because lots of people have done stories on Frank. I just happen to have known him, back in my day. I knew him. And we wore the same back patch and all that, and I thought he was an okay guy. Typical about the guys, the Italian guys, worried about money a lot, but that's just one of their traits. And as a result, you don't find too many of them that are broke. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Newfoundland, good to see you, bro. Yeah, man, hit that like button, dudes. We got more than 9 people watching. I'm sure of that. Hit the like button each and every show. I'm still fighting with Google to figure out what the Christ they're doing with my monetization. Then I could offer memberships. I offer memberships across the Facebook group. You do not have to subscribe. If you want to, you can. And that just helps me a little bit. It shoots a couple bucks here and there at me. And if it helps me and it makes it so I can put a little more research time and make our shows better, beautiful. That's all I want to do. Is I want to keep getting better at what I do as we grow this thing together. And you guys have been a great help so far, even just coming in the chat and making the shows more interesting. And I don't mind working out of the chat. Some guys aren't into it, you know what I mean? But I like it. And even if it's a shitty comment, I'll address it. I don't care. I was around the Club Bob for a bunch of years, and I'll have to talk with you via email, brother. It was a real crazy time. 91 through 97. So as you were stepping out, that's about when I was stepping in, right around there. Hey, Jay, good to see you, bro. Thanks for joining us. No, I was in the middle of that one too, Jay. That was a funny one. Oh, you're in the prairies? Okay, Doug, I get you. Sorry, guys. Now, the clubs from the prairies, I'll admit I don't know as much about, because we really had no reason to go into the prairies. I wish now in hindsight that we had all them years when everything was running smooth and Ontario was what it was, and the Choice were doing their thing, we were doing our thing, and everyone was okay with each other. It might be a little skirmish here and there, but not really, man. It was really pretty fucking copacetic, and I wish that we had went. We have members of maritime backgrounds, and we should have went out east. Now they're there. Nice to see. And there was nothing stopping us from going west either. And now there's a couple sporadic ones through the western region of the country. So it's good to see. And I wish I'd have been there. So that story's in the book too, Jay. So London, Ontario used to have a big bike show every year. It was in February. And 100% it was. It was really good for me. So in February, it just happened to line up that our club would have our GM on the same weekend in February, and we would have it in London. So the city would be full of outlaws, and it happened to be bike show weekend, so it gave us something to do. And we'd all go over there. And now eventually, like I say, I built a show bike. It's what I rode as a club bike, and we put it in the show. It came in second place, and we hadn't even finished the bike yet. It didn't have any of the throttle cables or any cables or nothing on it. We pushed it in, we pushed it out. But that was my bike, and that was one I used for a club bike. And and so, yeah, the zoo's been important over the years for bike clubs. 100%. Border towns are all important. People that ride bikes in clubs do not just love to ride, and our best people I come to know. Exactly. Go beside a bike at a gas station, and you can have a conversation. Yep, absolutely, Bruce. 100%. Oh, what was that? What did I miss? Oh, your logo. I didn't see it. Oh, it's it's an alien thing, is it? Very cool. Hey, the show, good to see you. The bike runs are so many, I mean, yeah, we used to have some good ones, up to the ghost town, where they do the Bad Living Road show and all that. And we had a big thing rented just outside of Port Dover one year for Friday the 13th. We did a big anniversary party down at a private property down in Niagara. And all those times were so much fun, man. Bongs in Space, love it. Love it, love it. I got a little online shop here in London. I like my 420. Well, as you guys can probably see if you watch one of my videos. So, anyways, you guys want to hear the bike show story real quick? We may as well. We haven't been at this very long tonight. So, all the outlaws would be in town, and it went that way for years. And along the way, a guy from a club called the Paradise Riders, a Toronto club, bought the rights to the show. So he was the host of the show. Now the Paradise, the PDRs we called them, the PDRs and us had what we should call a shaky truce. We were mad at each other, but we didn't like each other too. So, anyways, Larry was the owner of the rights to the show. Cool beans, right? That's his thing. He did a few other motorcycle events around the GTA also. Hey, Larry, thanks for tuning in tonight. I don't know if I met you before, but thanks for coming in. Drop in anytime you see us live. You can add your 2 cents, your 3 cents, or you can just watch whatever you want, man. But I appreciate you showing up. Hit the subscribe button and the like button for sure. And Lulu, thanks for you popping in. 93 2000. Oh, he's talking to Doug. Yeah, because you're a West too, aren't you, Lulu? So then in the 2000 patch over for 81 and all that to come to Ontario, the PDRs were one of the clubs that patched over. Okay. We knew they were gonna. They used to go on the national runs with 81 from the guys from Quebec would come through Ontario, and some of the guys from the Dice and the Choice and whatever would join them, and they'd head west for the national runs. That's what bikers do, right? Nobody ever made an issue of it. Everyone stayed out of each other's hair, and it was what it was. So, anyways, so now the PDRs are the Hells Angels. Now the Hells Angels are running the bike show. Well, we still got pretty much every outlaw in Canada in London that weekend. So they bring in a fucking boatload of people. Now all of a sudden, we walk towards each other, and there's a whole mass of outlaws on one side and a whole mass of Hells Angels on the other side. And we're walking towards each other in the middle of this motorcycle show. And we were supposed to be going to fucking shake hands. And the cops got all crazy, and the cops got all in between, kind of like what you saw in that casino shooting with the Mongols in the 81s. They tried to get everyone edgy and kick it off. Well, nobody fell for it. But then we stood there and stared at each other like a bunch of fucking weirdos having a Mexican standoff. And then the bike show emptied, and then they had headlines on the Free Press the next day. Biker war almost erupts and all this bullshit. And we weren't going there to throw hands. We weren't. Because the same weekend we had the Banditos at our clubhouse Friday and the Hells Angels at our clubhouse Saturday. So nobody was going, but anyways, they made a big thing of it. Then all of a sudden Larry couldn't own the rights to the bike show in London anymore. And then basically the London Bike Show ceased to exist and it doesn't happen anymore. And it was a really good event for years and years, and people would take their kids there. And there was, all the different bike manufacturers, all the bike shops, all those shit. It's a bike show. And it was something to do in February, It was something to do in February. And I think, honestly, that the police fucked up that show way more than either us or the 81s ever did. We didn't do nothing. We looked at each other. The day before, we were all walking around shaking each other's hands. It's just that day, it seemed like it was organized and it seemed like it was, no, man, it was bullshit. It was a whole bunch of nothing. Selkirk, I don't even know where the heck Selkirk is, Bruce. North of Winnipeg. Oh, okay, it's not even in Saskatchewan. Oh. Yeah, I was there, bro. That was that story. That's the bike show. Hey, Mouth of the South. Sorry, bro, you're just rolling in as I'm just getting ready to call it a night on tonight's show. Oh yeah, so I want to tell you guys what I'm gonna do with our friend Don Norris. I don't think I have any work tomorrow, so I'm gonna contact him in the afternoon. I'm gonna do the interview with him on Zoom because he's good with using Zoom. Now the problem is on my end, I fucking hate Zoom, but I'm gonna get it sorted out. I'm going to do an interview with him over Zoom in the afternoon and record it. And then I'm going to play it back on the channel with me here hosting it. You know what I mean? So it'll be like in that format. So that the video will be playing over there. And then I can stop the video if you guys want to make a comment or something. The only thing is nobody can ask questions live. So I hope I catch all the questions, right? So it'll be something. Yeah, man, we did the old Pro Cafe shooting story from 06, Frank Lente and the dudes from the 81. Hey Mark, how are you, bro? Well, I'm glad it was a monitor, bro. I'm not haunting you, bro. Yeah, man, things are good. Got a few good days of work in. We did our thing. And like I say, I got a day off tomorrow, so I'm going to get this interview with Don and get his I just want to hear about how it was, how they came up with the name, why they started the club, all that stuff, why they decided to be a 1% club instead of just an MC. Hey Bobby, thanks for dropping in. Obviously I'm going to ask for his opinion on what's going on now because I'm sure that's what everyone wants to hear about. And he says that there's some things he wants to set straight. So I don't think he's going to talk shit because, it's just not going to benefit anyone for him to talk shit or say, I don't like it or whatever. But maybe he's going to say, I don't like it. I don't know. I haven't asked him. A bunch of guys. Yes. The Trafalgar boys. The last one of that crew I knew, a lot of guys from the Sioux come down here and go to Fanshawe College and then they would stay. Mutt. I don't know if you know Mutt. Mutt lives under the bridge. But yeah, he's around my age. And he was down with the crew that ran with us. And those guys hung out with us 7 days a week. We were in the strip joints all the time, then down to the nightclubs on the weekends downtown, trying to go fishing for new talent, as it were. And yeah, man. So if Mutt was in that group, yeah. My brother-in-law was landing home in the Inglis, worked off site in Russell, biker Rick Germain. He's back in Hamilton with me, sister now. He's in his 80s. Good for him, man. In his 80s. I love it. Yeah, thanks, Mark. I'm gonna get that interview cracked off with Don. 100% I am. Oh yeah, an egg roll. Thanks for reminding me, Grant. Egg roll. I was kicking around in my head last time going, what did he want? What was that name? Egg roll. Okay. So right there, fucking down. There we go. Egg roll. Egg roll from Ottawa, you said. And he did painting. Okay, I got you. I got you, bro. I wrote it down this time. I'm getting old, and I think the 420 hits me better. So if I don't write it down, it might not be in my brain tomorrow. Hey, Casey, how are you? The other weekend. Oh, the other weekend in Kingston. Yeah, Yeah, I did a quick story on it. There's not much yet on the interweb about it, but yeah, um, it was the Outlaws? I think was one of the clubs. Was it the Outlaws and the Loners going at it again? I assume that's who it was. And yeah, welcome, Casey. Thanks for joining us, man. Hit the like and subscribe button, bro. And drop in anytime you see us live. You can give your 2 cents or your 3 cents. And hey, thanks, Steven. Thank you for dropping in too. Same with you, bro. Hit a like and hit a subscribe. And anytime you hear us up here live, pop in, say hello. If you know the story I'm talking about, add to it. I love that shit. It always works out good with the chat for stuff like that. And I got enough of my old stories because I was around for a little while that I can always throw in a personal story. Like I just did about the bike show. You know, there's a couple more pieces to the bike show story I can't tell you about on the interweb, but that was the main nuts and bolts of it. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, Bruce. Yeah, bro. Thank you, Bruce. I'll be back tomorrow night at 8 with the interview, and and that's where we're at. So again, if anyone or you know anyone or whatever, um, exactly exclusive details. What are you again, Dave? Why do I always forget your fucking name of your shop? I feel like an asshole when I do that. Where did you go? Where did you go? Where did you go? I gotta go get that picture he painted for me too. I thought that thing looked fucking sweet. The Biker News Canada picture he made for me. Where are you? Problem is, we're talking about he's got no heat in his shop, and I'm trying to help him out with getting sick. That's what I do, right? So anyway, that's what he is. He's executive. There he is. There he is. Yeah. See, I'm nowhere near. I'm glad I fucking looked. He's Final Details Customs. So Final Details Customs. If you got any paint stuff that you want to bring to life, he's a good man. Hello, the real truth. David Atwell. I don't know if I can reach him. If I can find him, I would. I don't think he's really much for talking. I am going to get the guy from Cycle Drag though. And next week we got Welland County MC with a flat track, and they're going to tell us what they've got planning for next year. Yeah. That would have been them, Chris. Or Mutt would have been kind of in that sort of group. Oh, Nova Scotia, my folks are both there and raised, and a sister. I've still never even made it to fucking Nova Scotia. Thanks, Stephen. Like you say, drop in anytime. I think there'll be some scrimmages, the real truth. I don't think it'll be a big all out thing. I think it'll be some scrimmages. Dave Atwell, you know the guy, he did some shady shit. That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's the type of guy who's reachable. But thank you, Mark. Zale chapter. I don't know, Doug. I have no idea. I haven't been to Hamilton in a minute. But yeah, look up Final Details Customs if you know anyone, or if you're thinking about smart work. And until tomorrow, everyone, I'm going to say goodnight for now. So much love. Thanks, everyone, for being in the chat and just sitting back and watching whatever it is. I love you for it. I appreciate each and every one of you. Be safe, and I'll see you again tomorrow.